Awesome. So the first part would be just the questions that were submitted ahead of time, so I get a chance to answer everybody's question. Then we'll send a link to everybody to the recording and to the Facebook group where we're going to post it. And then in about 15 minutes, I will open up the microphones just to make sure to be respectful to everybody else, that you guys don't have background noises and things like that, because it's just going to be a lot of people on a call. So if you're not answering questions, make sure you mute yourself. So using this, so as you can see, I muted myself. You couldn't hear anything, so that everyone else gets a chance to answer questions. So these are just the housekeeping rules, and we're going to get started. If you want to raise something or if you have a question, jump into this chat button right here, that you can see the chat, and you can just type to between everyone and say, I have a question or something like that. So that will help me a lot to stop and keep going. So again, I apologize for muting everybody for now, but I think it's just going to be the most respectful way to get started. Okay, so what do we got? So far, out of about 10 or 20, no, 10, how many questions were there? About 11 questions that were submitted. There's two groups of questions, budget related and efficiency related. So I think I'm going to start with budget related questions first. And let's start, where are they? Understanding how to manage and track multiple budgets, how to manage multiple budgets within each location, and budget-specific labeling. So let's start with these three questions. So understanding how to manage and track multiple budgets. Okay, so first of all, in order to be able to track multiple budgets in Zen, you need to be able to activate groups. So if you guys use full Zen inventory, and the way to check, if you have the restock inventory button on the left side and you have the quick order on the left side, that means you're using Zen inventory, right? Now, then if you go to my inventory, if you see the inventory list and if you have the storages right away, that means you don't have the groups activated. So in order to activate the groups, you're going to go into the settings all the way right here, then click the tab called settings, and then you need advanced, and you're pretty much saying activate groups. So if the groups are activated, then you can set separate budgets and you can have separate groups. So what is the typical application for the groups? Let's take a look together. So if I'm going to go in and click the groups, and you will see that I have general. So general is the default group, so you're always going to have it. You can have clinical, you can have dental, you can have equipment. So pretty much these are all custom. Just like you have your storages and the storages are custom, you can customize your groups as well. So all I need to do is just click add edit, and I can create a group, right? So I can create a group where I can pretty much just customize however you want it. Now, some offices, if I go back to that same question, so for all the new people that are jumping in, again, I muted everybody to be respectful to everyone else, and I'm answering the first question, understanding how to manage and track multiple budgets. So again, in order to track multiple budgets in Zen, you need to have groups activated. In order to have groups, it's pretty straightforward. You just know, I mean, you should be able to name the groups however you want it. It's all custom, right? And then once you create the group names, so I go in, create a group and say, test for demo, or no, for webinar, save. I can add a storage now within it. Again, webinar test, save, close. Now I have all my groups figured out, right? And if I want to set up the budget, now I'm going to jump into the settings and click the budget. So the tricky part here is depending on the role that you have within Zen. So if you have a role, assistant, lead assistant, and hygienist, you will not be able to see payment method, settings, and budget. So if that's your role, just talk to somebody in the office with the role office manager or managing doctor. So and you can check that if you go to users, you will be able to see the roles right here. So who has what role, right? So now if you can see it, it's easy. You just go into the budget. So let's just say we have a temp for this demo account. As you remember, you have collections, right? You set the budget by collections. You have a percentage. And now I can set the budget for each of the group that I created. So if I want to set a separate budget for a test for the webinar, that's going to be my $2,000 budget for that specific group, okay? So if I click the save button, I'm pretty much good to go. Now, if I need to create orders or restock inventory, so again, I can have a restock inventory completely by the group, so I can go each group individually. I can turn it off as well. So again, you can manage that in settings. So if I'm going to jump in settings, click Advanced Settings, and then I can say restock inventory by storage or send orders by groups. So these are the two ones that you want to go back and activate in quick order by storage. So if I'm going too fast, again, I will stop in about 5 minutes once I am done answering all the budget questions, and then you guys can ask me to go back to a specific area and I can go over that again. But now again, back to that budget. So you can set the budget by specific groups. And now if you, for example, or somebody on the team goes in and wants to submit a specific order for the test for webinar, I don't have any products there. So I probably need to add something. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to add our topical webinar test, apply. So if I'm going to go into the quick order, I have that, I edit. And if I go into the shopping cart, my test for webinar should have, I'm in quick order approval. It says left this month $2,000. Okay, so I don't see the whole budget. So for that group, I only have $2,000 left. So that's how you can set the budgets and track multiple budgets within Zen Supplies. Okay. Again, we covered the settings, the budget, how to create the groups, but the big part in it is being able to set up the groups, which I just did in my inventory. And you can see the groups and storages for webinar. Okay, the next question related to budget was how to manage multiple budgets with each location. So it kind of similar. It's about the same. So Joanna, that was primarily your question, so I want to make sure I get to it. Again, I need to make sure that the groups are activated. So I know that for ortho, for example, you can have, let's just go ahead and create a group, call it ortho. Save. I need to make sure there are some ortho storages within the ortho group, and typically ortho is by the distributor. So for example, 3M. I can do create a storage, I can do orthopply. And click close. If I'm going to my ortho, I probably need to add a product, right? So you guys all know how to do it. Do I have any ortho products? Perfect. And I'm going to jump in and add it to orthopply. Okay. So then I'm going to go into, again, budget settings, budget. I have my ortho. Now, the cool part about Zen here is in this specific section is if, let's say, I know that our total budget is $5,250, right? And I already allocated $2,000 for the test for webinar. So what if I go $4,000 and click save? It would not let me do it. Now, I can go in and I can, for example, say it's $3,000 and click save. Now I know. It's going to go through $3,000. Again, now if I go into quick order, go into the ortho, it's my orthopply, I add it, go into shopping cart. I need to have quick order approval because that's where I was before. Ortho. And then I have a $3,000 budget right here. And the last question I have here from Colin about budget-specific labeling, we don't have it yet. So that's something in development. I cannot promise you guys when it's going to be done, but basically what we're trying to do is we understand that some budgets needs to be office supply, some budget should be maintenance, some budget should be tech, some budget should be lab. And if we already know that you have a product with a lab category, it should go as its own separate budget. So we call it budget labeling. So that should be done, I would say, on the first quarter of the next year, so in 2020, where we will either do it automatically and label these products automatically, or you will be able to just basically manually go into my inventory, select the product, and there'll be a button somewhere here that will say this topical, you want it to be part of your dental budget or maybe hypothetically part of another budget. So that's as far as budget-specific labeling. And I did skip a lot of steps, guys, because this is more of an advanced webinar, assuming that you already know how to put products in the storages. But I am going to open up the mics to talk about specifically about the budget. So if you have any questions specifically related to budgets, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to unmute everyone. Any questions about the budget specifically? Nope. Joanna, are you still here?
I'm here. We're here.
Okay, cool. Did I answer your question about the budget?
Yeah, I think that pretty much answers it. Yeah, what would be some benefits of actually utilizing that, like having separate budgets for each category?
Yeah, so probably the biggest one is when you have two separate teams. So what I've seen people use separate budgets is, let's just say you have a pediatric team and ortho team.
Oh,
And
okay.
each have its own budgets. And for example, each stores supplies in separate locations. And that way, you know, for example, if I have ortho and I have a pedo team, then every supplies is separate. You have your gloves separately, you have clinical and disposables, infection control, it's all separate, including when you verify the orders. So if I'm going to go into the orders, I can even verify them separately so they're not getting mixed up.
Okay, okay. And I think we do something like that, but with separate offices. Is that kind of the same thing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yep. Awesome. And based on our, I ran the data yesterday to see where most of our offices are. Most of the, I'd say 90% of the offices are using inventory and storages. So if you guys go to my inventory on the left side, you see inventory list and the storages right away. That means you don't have the groups, and that's totally fine. So it's really, I would say, like very advanced version of Zen when you have the groups and you want to run them separately in case, just like Joanna said about separate locations, or you have separate like clinical groups like pedo and ortho. Any more questions here? Because now I'm going to jump into the actual efficiency. I could probably leave the mics on, so if you guys want to jump in, it's totally fine. Let's talk about, I had a question, better tag system. You guys know how much I like the tags. How to order quickly, that's a good one, so we'll cover that. Just curious about how to learn more features. That's awesome. Efficiency, optimize Zen, and what I can do for the office, how to become more efficient, and better organization. Okay, so let's start with a better organization. I think that's an important one. So there's to get a little bit more efficient on Zen, what I would suggest, and again, that's part of what we're fixing on our end, and part of what you can do in order to maximize the efficiency on Zen is, probably the first step is go to my inventory list and see if you have duplicates. We've talked about this a lot, and that's something that I take it on us more than I want to show you guys what to do. It's probably our fault. But in the meantime, while we're fixing it, is I would highly suggest go through the inventory list, use the button filter sort, and go by each category. So I know it might be a little bit time consuming, but that will be very, very helpful. You will see a lot of products that are either duplicates or not assigned to specific storages. So for example, if I want to go through all my anesthetic, click apply, I can see what products I have here. And one of the biggest things that I'm learning right now from some of the most efficient offices in Zen is cutting down on like products like topical, right? So do we need to have 4 or 5 flavors, or it's okay to have 1 or 2? Again, it's your choice. We're not here to tell you how many flavors you have, obviously, but it's something that we've seen very, very effective offices in Zen. What they do is they just go through their inventory list and knock out those items and just say, all right, so we're going to leave bubble gum and some really weird one like pina colada, for example, and the rest is gone, right? So that's just a small tip while we're looking at this. Now, it's going to be, like I said, time consuming, but very, very helpful. If you use the filter, you go by category, select the category, and click apply button to look at what you have in your inventory list. And if you have a duplicate, like for example, I have this lidocaine and it's $29, and I have another lidocaine and it's $24.50. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of one, delete from inventory, click yes, and I'm good to go. So what that do is, you're number one, you're eliminating extra product, so that if I go in the Zen out, and if I would go in anesthetic, now I'm going to see only 1 lidocaine instead of 2 or 3. So it's easier for the team now to Zen out the items. Okay? So, but again, I'm saying this so many times, but I do want to say again, that's something that we're fixing as well, and within the next, I would say a month, that would not be an issue at all. So all the duplicates would be combined together. So as far as efficiency, I would say this is, as far as organization, that's the first thing I would do is go through your inventory, make sure that you don't have duplicates and you don't have the products that have multi-flavors. So again, it's just a suggestion. The second one is, as far as the organization, during the trainings, we talk a lot about having one product in one storage. So if you see that you have products in inventory list that has two storages, maybe it's by purpose. For example, if you do have groups and you have two locations within one Zen account, that's totally fine. You can have one topical thing in two separate locations. But if you don't have the groups and you have inventory lists and you see your storages right away, most likely you want to make sure that you have one product in one storage. Otherwise, you probably have duplicates or you have the same product running in two different places, and that's, I wouldn't recommend that. And I think the second part, I think we with filters. I'm going to do on categories. Another filter I would highly suggest to recommend. I can see somebody's taking notes. That's awesome. The other filter I would recommend to use is products and storages. So what happens is a lot of times our offices will go to dental catalog, find an item that you don't have in your inventory list, and you just add product, and you click add to inventory, right? Now it's awesome. It says product added, but you haven't selected the storage. So that product is not sitting in any specific storages. Therefore, you cannot run quantities. And if you go into the quick order, you can only do shop by inventory because it will not be in any of the storages that you selected. So how do we catch that? You go to filter sort, you go to products and storages, and select off, and then click apply button. And now I can see all my products in the inventory list that just do not have a storage yet. So far, so good?
That's going to be great. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So it's going to help a lot to catch those tricky products, and then you can view them. Maybe you don't need it, so maybe you just put it and delete it. Right? So you can go in. It's my system is slow, and then just say delete from inventory, or you can select and say move to storage. Now we also talk about that not all the products should be in storages, right? We have offices that say, you know what, I have this instruments, a set of instruments that we don't use. I just want to make sure that it's in my list so that whatever the case might be in the future, I can go into my inventory list and I can always find them. That's totally fine. All I want you to have is tools so that you can go into the filter sort, find products and storages, select off, apply, and then you can see the list of products all together. So that's as far as better organization. And then the last part I have is, let me jump into another location so it would be a little bit easier. It doesn't have any groups. So most likely what you guys are seeing for most offices, you see this kind of setup. You have inventory list and you have a button all, and you have all your storages.
Yes.
Yep. So in that case, again, filter sort, select off, select apply, and you're good to go. So it's going to show me all the items that are not in storages. Now, our filter is really tricky. You always need to go back and click the reset button if you want to come back to that same and see all the products all together.
Okay.
All right. So, and then the last part, again, we're looking at what people are creating as far as storages. So again, talking about the better organization, either use Zen for ordering or you use Zen for inventory. Both ways, it streamlines both platforms. A lot of the storages are created based on procedures. So, for example, anesthetic, crown and bridge, and things like that. The one very common one that we see people create is the tips. So I don't know why, but it probably will make sense to you guys when you see it. So basically, you're putting all your tips together, mixing tips and all that. So that was a very helpful tip that we found from a couple offices. And during the trainings now, we're put it by default into the template. But if you don't have it, that's something that you can create. And what else? I think another one, it's the last one, and then again, we can go into the question. I used to recommend a lot the most used. So if you were part of the trainings early in the year, you probably had that most used inventory list or the storage, the virtual storage. However, though, I don't recommend that anymore. So we found Some offices were putting products there like lidocaine and mixed tips and the hub needles and all that. And it created some confusion within an office because you have anesthetic storage and you have the most use. So people weren't sure where to go to send out the items, or even to when you go to create an order and you are not sure which one to go to create an order. So again, if you have it and if you like it, that's great. It's all custom. You guys can use it. If you don't like it, you can reassign the products to other places and click Add Edit, find that most used, click Delete, remove it, and just blame it on me. That's what I would suggest. So I would say as far as organization, these are some of the tips. Any questions here?
No, all sounds good.
Sounds good. Anybody else? So if you guys don't have the audio to connect into this, you're more than welcome to use the chat right here. So there's this button that you can click, and you can type question to everyone, because I can see there's a lot of people on a call. So if you guys want to ask a question, you can do it that way as well. And also, for those that want to get connected to audio and you don't have a computer, this is the number to call in if you want to call in and ask any questions with the audio. All right, so I'm going to jump into the next question. So how to become efficient, that's part of it. Optimize, I'm just curious about the new features. Okay, so a couple of new features. Again, we've been very busy with catalogs and cleaning up the catalogs. So you guys will see a lot of improvement in these two buttons, dental catalogs. There will be more filters, so it will be a lot easier to find items. So hopefully if you're searching for a lidocaine, we will not be showing you gloves. That's our first goal. And then the second one is my inventory will be a lot more streamlined as well. So like I said, our first goal is to remove the duplicates and so on. So that's taking so much time that the only new features we have are kind of interesting, right? So they're very limited. The one that I would highly suggest to use is the purchase products. If you guys are on the dashboard, go to one of those boxes, and without clicking on it, just go into that little setting on the corner. Click that setting, and it will give you an option to customize the dashboard. And the two that I recommend a lot is the purchase products and running low. So this is my demo account. I don't have that many running low products, but for most of you, once you switch, you will see a number. So it will tell you like 44 products running low or 72 products running low. Now, if you click on that, it brings you to the restock inventory, because that's how we know what you're running low on. It calculates, obviously you already know, it calculates the difference between the required quantity and quantity on hand. But the product, purchase products is a really awesome report. So that came from one of the offices, Studio Dental. You can literally, instead of going order by order, trying to find what you ordered, you can just go here and say, okay, when did we order caviar wipes? And you can just put caviar on the search, and it just filters everything by caviar wipes and gives you the date. So like I have a 26, I have it on the 20th, 19th, 18th, and things like that. So it's really easy to find.
That's nice. That's really nice.
Mm-hmm. So again, you just go dashboard. Without clicking on the box, just navigate to that setting on a corner, click on that corner, and click Purchase Products. Okay, what else is new? Oh, save for later. That's been a big thing. So again, we have a doctor from Bright Smile. There's a question. Let me see. Yep. Let me put a smiley face. Thank you. So one of the big questions, which we completely didn't think about in the beginning, but then one of the doctors from Bright Smile, Dr. Sulum, came back and said, it would be nice to have Save for Later button. So if you guys go to Proceed to Checkout, you can see all of your vendors listed together, right? So payment by distributors and payment by the credit card on file. So let's just say there's a product like this Ace Surgical, an expensive product that puts you out of the budget and you don't want to order it. Select the button Save for Later, and then just place the entire order. So that product will go back in the shopping cart and will not be placed. So you don't have to go back, remove it, clean up the shopping cart and all that. So that's just going to be a lot easier. So that would be Save for Later. But I also want to do an order. Let me see. I wonder if I have Patterson products here. Yep. And then another one that's also very helpful. You guys will see combined with Restock. It's an old one. We rolled it out about 2 months ago. But again, if you haven't seen it, this button yet. So this will affect only offices that are using Zen inventory. So again, if you have the restock inventory on the left side, if you have this button, that means you're in the Zen inventory. And so obviously offices that do use Zen inventory, you would know. And you have the two approvals, restock approval and a quick order approval. So in the past, you would have to manually go back and change the quantities. Otherwise, if you do separate orders, it would be two separate orders going sometimes to the same distributors, and you get shipping charged twice. So in order to avoid that, what you do is you click Combine with Restock, and it cleans up the quick order approval, puts everything in the restock. And then again, from that one same place, you click Proceed to Checkout, and technically you're good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Save for Later all these orders except Patterson. Let's pretend that we like them. Cool. So everything went out. No, we like all distributors. And the rest of the products are all sitting here. Okay. So now technically the only product that I should have in order is the one for Patterson. Yep. So the two items went out, and now we're going to wait for this product to be verified. So I'm going to make sure, again, it's a demo account, so any questions so far about that Save for Later button? No? Okay, awesome. I'm just going to communicate with my team, telling them it's a demo order that we created. Okay, so let's see how to order quickly. Okay, so let's look at that together. So most likely, and that was a question from Heather. So it really depends if you guys are using Zen inventory or if you're using Zen ordering. So let's look at the case of Zen inventory. Obviously, the fastest one is using the restock inventory, right? So if, for example, if I'm going to go into my inventory, I go into anesthetics. Let me add something more into anesthetics. Like, let's see if I have, oh, we have Articaine. So let me make sure we add it. So remove from here, put anesthetic. Let's just say we're going to say required quantity is 3, 2, quantity on hand is 2. So obviously, using the Zen out and a whole inventory on hand is the fastest way to do it. So if you're taking a full inventory count, you're going to use the Zen out. And by the way, I haven't talked about it too much, but you can access the whole Zen system on the iPad. So you guys know that on the iPad, you can download the Zen out app from the App Store, but you can also download Google Chrome and go on Google Chrome and just log in with your typical or normal login in Zen and use the whole system. So if you want just the Zen out and mount it on a wall, that's fine. If you want to go in and use Google Chrome on the iPad and have a whole access, including the orders and verifying the orders on the iPad, you can do that for Google Chrome. Now, I'm going to see what's going on here. Anesthetic. Okay. So we're going to leave this product here, and then if I'm going to go into the Zen out, I don't see it. I should probably refresh it. Imagine if it doesn't work. That'd be so much fun. It actually doesn't. That's cool. All right, so we'll pretend that this whole Articaine is in the system. And so this is our quantity. So obviously the fastest way to run the orders is if you have the inventory, you just put the quantity on hand down to probably 0, and then you go to restock inventory. And right here we have our product, right? And so then you say send order for approval. It's in approval now, and technically you're good to go. So that's the fastest way to do it. Now, obviously the question is, taking a full inventory count and whatever happens in the office. So we're talking about just how to quickly create an order within Zen. And then we're fully aware that it is a little bit challenging to do the Zen out within an office. Now, if you're not using Zen inventory and you're only using Zen ordering, let me see if I have that under my demo account. Yep. If you're using only Zen inventory, Zen ordering, you only have a button that's called create an order. And so, Heather, if you're on the call, That's what you guys should have. It says create an order. So I think the first thing to make it faster, to have that fast way of creating orders, I would do the same thing. So first I would make sure that in my inventory list I have all the products that I need, right? So I'll go through the products. If I need anything else, I go to demo catalogs and I keep adding more products. The second one is using the same filter. I would go to products and storages, select the products that are not in storages, and just make sure that all my items in storages so that I'm the most efficient. So I'm just going to drop it in A2. And then that way I know all my items assigned to specific storages. And that's pretty much it. Then all I need to do is just go to create an order, go through my storages, right? So add products in the shopping cart. And you can see this demo account has so many weird names. So don't pay attention to the storage names. And obviously we picked the most expensive Profi angles. And then we go into the shopping cart, and that's pretty much it. So hopefully that answers your question, but that's probably the fastest way. The other fastest way is just, again, do it from the iPad versus a desktop. But again, just make sure it's not an iPad mini, that it's at least either the middle size or the Pro iPad. Okay, and then the tag system. How do I answer that? Okay, let's go back to the Zen inventory, the one that has the stock. And let's talk about the tag system. It's actually a tricky one. Anybody has any experience with the tag system that can help me? No?
No.
Okay, nobody is going to write a comment here. Okay. Okay, so far what I know about the tag system, I think I even had a picture somewhere. If viewer 9 wants to present, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to deny it. Let me see. I had that tag picture somewhere. If I don't, not a big deal. Basically, what I know about the tags is you have the last tag. Oh, somebody is helping me. Do you not like the tag system? I do. I do like anything that works within an office. So sometimes I'm over passionate to tell you guys I don't like something like or specific distributors, which is not really the case. So like if it works for the office, that's fantastic, right? And then with the tag system, what you can do is basically just run the quantities, right? So if you know that you have the very last box of Articaine left in your inventory, and that's the last tag you got, and you're basically going to come in. If let's just say you had 3 boxes on hand, you're down to one last one, you just mark it as the last one. My only concern with the tag system, actually I have 2 concerns with the tag system. Number one is you only know which is the last product or the last box of the products. You don't know if you have 2 boxes or 3 boxes, unless you stretch it out, that tag, and you put it in 2 boxes, right? So like instead of the 1 box. And then the second one is that whole container that you use to put the tags in. So if somebody grabs the last item, take the tag out, put it in a container, what if something happens with that container, right? So to me, using Zen is a little bit more efficient if you use Zen right away. So like if you take something out, you go on Zen and you put it on Zen. So these are my concerns, but let me see. I use the tags with the item number and use there, put tag on my desk. Cool. And you never lose the tags, right? So like they never disappear or anything like that. And I'll give you some time to answer. And Shannon, I believe that's you. So yeah, if it works, that's great. If that's sufficient, yeah, obviously, that's the problem. They get lost, exactly. So if they get lost, maybe as an option, let's go into the Zen out, and I hope everybody enjoys it. And I'm trying to figure out why I can't see the septic in here. It would have helped me a lot. It's so strange. I'm going to put it in closet. Okay, I'll just say 3. I'll just say 4. Okay, let's see if that works. Oh, now it works in anesthetic. Perfect. Okay, so let's just say somebody grabs a tag, and instead of putting it in a basket, what if they go in a Zen and they just remove it right away, or bring it to the right quantity? So that would be my only suggestion as far as the tag. Okay. Shannon, I would just say my only concern is if they lose the tag before it gets to your desk. So that would be my only concern. And in that case, if you can have the offices literally go on ZenOut and tag, mark the item as removed with that tag, that would be the best. Now, I think we also need to talk about when you need to Zen out the items. So maybe I'll just briefly touch on that. We have this whole concept of main stock room in the daily or the weekly stock. And by the way, while on the subject, I hope everybody is aware of the workshop that we're putting together. We already had one on November 15th. So I'm going to go to our blog, and we have one on January 17th.
Okay.
So you can go in Zen Smart Inventory Workshop in Chicago, click on our blog, and there are 2 dates available. So you can either register for January 17th or April 17th. And that would be probably one of the best workshops you would go as far as inventory. So our lead assistants from Westgate Dental Care will be teaching this workshop, exactly what they do. This is their room. And this is all they got, so I hope you guys can see it. This is all they got for 10-chair office right now, and they will expand to 20, and they're not planning to add any more storage rooms. So this is all they got. And so, again, it's important to know during this workshop, we're going to talk about when to Zen out the items. And ideally, you do the Zen out once a week. So you don't have to go every time you grab an item to Zen out, so you only do it once a week when you restock your rooms. Again, let me check. That's I know, it looks pretty awesome. So come to the workshop, and you guys will actually get a feel of this room and how it actually works for the office. But again, it's important to build a system within your practice when you actually Zen out. Again, we don't have a preference if you want to Zen out as soon as you grab a box, or if you want to Zen out once a week and you restock the rooms. It's up to you. We just want to give you the tools and make sure that we're all on the same page. But I think that's important. And I feel like I talked a lot, so I'm going to see if you have any questions. Anybody? Okay, so far so good. Last part I want to show is the orders. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but we're putting a lot of emphasis on latest orders. So you will see that a lot of products will have status either in progress or shipped or arrived and things like that. And have the tracking numbers, and also we'll try to notify you if something is in a back order. So keep an eye on that. We're still not perfect. I think we're at about 90% of all the orders that go through Zen. We have the tracking numbers, and we change the status, and we'll let you know if it's in a back order, which I think is better than it used to be at about 30 to 40%. But that's a big improvement as far as Zen. And then we're going to continue putting a lot of effort into this one part to give you confidence where your orders are. But I would still suggest to use the chat. So if you know something is in a back order, if you need the status, always give us the PO number and then go on Zen chat and just say, I need the status of, or can you help me with a status on a specific item within that PO? So
I really love that you guys have that request alternative now for a back ordered item.
Okay.
That's been really nice.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll let the team know. Is it always on point as far as when we suggest the alternative, or could be better?
Yeah. It's usually like exactly what I need still.
Okay. Fantastic. So, yep. Back to that same point, this is our probably one of the biggest efforts so far is to make sure that you guys have a complete trust in that button of orders. I think that's all I got as far as questions from people registering for the webinar, as far as organization, advanced. So I'm pretty much open to any questions you have. 11 people. That's awesome. It's probably the largest we have so far.
Cool.
Anybody needs the link for that webinar, or you guys comfortable going to our blog and just getting it from the blog?
Yeah, I think I get the emails too, and I saw this one.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to go. I thought up to the doctor, but it looks really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and yeah, it is one day. So it's going to start 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday. We're going to be done by 5. It's really hard to talk about inventory all day, so we're probably going to add other things like infection control, and we'll invite experts in infection control to help you. To help that with that part. So you're looking at 2 big things: inventory control and infection control. And there are also some pictures from the previous one. So this is the one that we had November 15th. It was a small one, as we were just trying to see what works, what doesn't work. This is Tracy. She's awesome lead assistant at Westgate Dental Care, and she's the one in charge, and she would show exactly how everything is set up, and she'll walk you through how she does ordering, so you'll see specifically what they do, all the cards, and all the checklists. And she also prints out all the checklists for you as well.
Okay.
All right. More questions? Everybody's comfortable with reports, or anybody's looking at the reports?
I've been looking at the reports more lately. I think I'm pretty comfortable with it, just seeing like how much I've saved or gone over and then like the last few months.
Okay. So one report that we've been getting questions lately is the use tax. So when you log in and you see the use tax, so the use tax is, I'm not a CPA, so please make sure to run it by the CPA. We just wanted to make sure that we at least help you track it. It's the opposite of the sales tax. So when you go and you place an order for any of the companies that do not charge you sales tax, it's based on your state. You need to check that and check with the CPA. But as far as I know, it's your responsibility to track all the orders that you place that you place, and you don't pay a sales tax, and then at the end of the year report the total, and then your CPA calculates how much you owe the state as far as the sales tax. So that's why it's called the use tax. And so in Zen, we're tracking every order that you place within Zen, and you didn't pay sales tax. Again, it's only estimated, but at least gives you an idea what that number is. And at the end of the year, you can give it to your CPA, and that's the number, and then they calculate their sales tax.
Okay.
So it's responsibility of every office. Another one, let's take a look. So total spend, it's a really, really good report to go back to the previous months and see what categories you're spending the most. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have done it or not yet, but this is really, really helpful. Again, when I do monthly follow-up calls with the offices, I always look at a couple of things. So for example, if I see your one distributor is getting the majority of the orders and you're way over the budget, I will ask you why. So why you haven't given the chance to other companies that are Zen preferred companies. If it's the shipping, or if it's the products, or if it's something else, let me know, or let our team know, and we'll work on that to give you that confidence. But I think a lot of times you're seeing exact same products sold by our Zen preferred vendors at a pretty good discount. So I would ask that question, why one company gets more than the other. And again, just a reminder, we don't get paid by any of the distributors, so I just want to put it out there. And then the second part I look at is categories. So what is one category that is going to be more than other? And then a lot of times you can look back at the previous month, look at all the procedures that you've done, and just look at the categories in Zen and see if it makes sense. So sometimes I see a lot of hygiene spent for general offices, and then there was not that much hygiene done on that month. That would be a red flag. So I'll just use that as an example.
Okay.
All right, so that's going to be the total spent report. And then budget summary, there's a lot of numbers, but it does give you a full picture of how much you spent that month, what was the budget if there were any requests, how much is left for that month, what was the total budget, how many orders you processed, what was the collections, depending if you have the budget by collections or not, things like that. So that's a helpful report as well. Please ask questions. Anybody? Shannon? Anybody else? Joanna?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. So if no more questions, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to end this webinar. Stay tuned. We have the workshop coming up. It's going to be great. I think we're going to have another webinar like this. Probably as soon as we make changes to the catalog and my inventory, I'll schedule a webinar specifically to go through the changes we're going to make so that you're aware of how to set the expiration dates and how to manage your products specifically in the My Inventory. So that's going to be coming up January, February.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Happy holidays. And if you need any help, you guys know, go to this question mark here. If you ever need to schedule a 15-minute with us, with anybody on the team, you just go to that question mark, schedule time with a trainer. And if it shows up, yep, so 15 minutes. And just book the time with anybody on the team for 15 minutes, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Tiger.
Of course. Thank you all.